So this is going to be a non-spoiler review of Jurassic World Dominion, the third in this Jurassic World trilogy and the sixth overall Jurassic Park/World film. Now, all of these Jurassic Park sequels after the original film have been trying to capture that original film's sort of magic, in terms of that critical acclaim. And now we've had this new Jurassic World trilogy since 2015. And overall, I think it's been a mostly solid blockbuster franchise in terms of giving the audience those kind of blockbuster type feels. Mostly. I think Jurassic World definitely delivered on being a chaotic type blockbuster fun film. Fallen Kingdom definitely was not as strong, but the ending did create a whole lot of intrigue for its sequel. We're here with Jurassic World Dominion. We have Owen, Claire on a new adventure as they navigate the pitfalls of a world where dinos are now on the loose everywhere on the planet. And along the way, some heroes from the original Jurassic Park trilogy get involved in this adventure also. Now, the dynamic of the dinosaurs on the loose in the world is where you'll definitely get the most out of this film. That's what was exciting about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, was that ending. Like, whoa, this is going to be something pretty new and pretty special here, seeing this dynamic. Because all of the previous Jurassic Park films have had the same kind of setup. Fly to Isla Nublar, or whatever that other island is called, and deal with some crazy dino adventures on the island, and maybe a couple times briefly battle some dinos on the home turf. Here we get to see some stuff really never before seen in the Jurassic films, mainly in the first half of the film, where the dinos are on the loose. Where you get to see some stuff like dinos being wrangled like horses, dinos being sold in an underground sort of black market type area, the Mosasaurus on the loose and causing havoc on the seas, or Blue and her new baby having hunting in the wilderness. The best scene in this film comes in that first half with that whole dinos on the loose dynamic, where you get a motorcycle chase / car chase / foot chase in a European city that occurs with some velociraptors. That scene is really fun, really thrilling, and among some of the most fun sequences found in the first Jurassic World film. By the end, I was just like, wow, that was just a really fun sequence that ironically I would like to see an actual theme park ride made out of that. That was just a really well done sequence. Speaking of the dinosaurs in this, they have some crazy looking dinosaurs in this film, where I was constantly asking myself, is that a real dinosaur? Because that just looks crazy. But that dynamic definitely does keep things fresh in that regard. The writing for the human characters is about what you would expect, and that means lacking any real sort of depth, development, or any sort of extra level of intrigue. I do think Owen and Claire are good leads. They're fun to follow. The actors are great. I really like them. But the films just never go to that extra level to give them any kind of real kind of meaningful writing or development. In all the films, they're the same characters at the end of the film that they were at the beginning, and that's just not good writing. They just never go that extra level to give it more oomph and more meaning. I guess the best sort of thing writing-wise would be how they care for Maisie, Owen and Claire. She's the clone girl from Fallen Kingdom. And there's also Owen's bond with Blue, the velociraptor, although that doesn't get nearly as much screen time as it did in the previous films. I did like the fact that they did not forget about the whole human cloning aspect from the previous film and made it a vital plot point in this one. It was really almost just kind of thrown in there in Fallen Kingdom, but here they do make it a crucial point in the story. Besides the dinosaurs running on the loose in the world, the other gimmick to this film is bringing back some of our original Jurassic Park heroes, meaning Alan, Ellie, and Malcolm, the protagonistic trio from the first film. They were also together in some of the sequels, although they were split in them, as Malcolm was in The Lost World and Alan and Ellie were in Part 3. Writing-wise, they're about what you would expect from these characters, but it was fun to see them. They were great in that first film, and you do enjoy them, especially really like Alan. I think he's just a really cool, nice character. And you do get a cool dynamic in here, seeing the original Jurassic Park heroes work with our Jurassic World heroes. It ends up kind of being sort of like the Infinity War of the Jurassic universe, while also taking inspiration from Universal's other major franchise, Fast and the Furious, with how the series utilizes its characters and bringing them back after multiple film absences. Big picture though, ended up being the biggest disappointment for me was despite the intrigue of the new premise and dinosaurs running on the loose and giving us some of that stuff in the first half, in the end, the film ended up reverting to the same stuff found in the other Jurassic films, and that's dealing with dinosaurs in an isolated environment, sort of surviving from them and taking down some kind of corporate douchebag. What ends up being the final sort of setting in this film could really just ended up being replaced by the actual Jurassic Park, and it would not make a difference. You know, too long is spent on this site, and I would like to have seen a lot more of the kind of stuff we saw in the first half of the film. We're really just dealing with an isolated environment for what feels like at least sort of the final 50 minutes, maybe even an hour of the film. And it's just like, ah, man, I just kind of really wanted to see more of what we saw in that first half. Because like I said, with here, it could have just been Jurassic Park, Isla Nublar, or whatever, and you would have the same kind of story found in those other Jurassic Park films. What ended up being the actual final obstacle of the film really just feels like they got lazy and ran out of ideas and reverted to a lesser version of a climax we saw in a previous film. 6.5, well, no, not 6.5, 6 out of 10 would be my ranking here. You know, it's okay. It had its moments, had some thrills, but in the end, it did not take advantage of the intrigue at the start of the film. You know, the actual ending of the film, like the last sort of 5 minutes, were actually beautifully done. You know, the final kind of shots that you get and just sort of the what's spoken and all that kind of stuff. I was like, wow, that was beautiful. And it definitely had me more enthusiastic than the actual real climax of the film did. You know, someone's just really just got to slap these writers of these films on the head, though, and just say, try harder, you know, when it comes to giving some kind of real kind of meaningful writing. You know, it's cool to have some cool sort of thrills and dino action and whatnot, but you need that extra level of writing to take your blockbuster to the next level. I do think the film ended up being better than the previous film, Fallen Kingdom. I would give that one a 5.5 out of 10, but not as good as Jurassic World, though, which, like I said, I thought was a fun kind of chaotic blockbuster that would get either like a 7 or 7.5 out of 10 from me. Really, this functions in a way that it could be the end of this Jurassic World trilogy, but you know that they're eventually going to do more. Whether or not it's with Owen and Claire or with some new characters, another one will definitely happen eventually. The buzz on this film definitely is not great, though. I have yet to look at the actual Rotten Tomatoes score. I don't do that until after I've done and uploaded the review. But from what I've heard and sort of some thumbnails I've seen on YouTube, it's definitely not getting great reviews so far. You know, it'll be interesting to see if this film ends up being the same kind of runaway success financially that the first two films were. That'll especially be tough given the critical and financial phenom that Top Gun Maverick is. But yeah, like I said, this seems like the film is falling flat for you know, some people out there, or a decent amount. But in the end, I just thought it's okay. You know, it's a Jurassic World movie. It's kind of what you expect from these things. That doesn't mean it definitely couldn't have been better, because it could have, but it had its own sort of thrill, spectacle, and whatnot. Just the stuff you expect from a Jurassic World film. Just like I mentioned, there was a lot about it that could have been better. So without rambling anymore, that'll do it for my review in this video of Jurassic World Dominion. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching.